Welcome back to Hospitality Marketing. My name is Dr. Mosley, and today we are going to be going over Chapter 11, The Price of Hospitality. When defining value in hospitality, it's the intangible aspects plus the tangible aspects that really just kind of have to solidify in the consumer's mind to give them the value that they got. So when we're looking at this equation here, you see product, and that's not just the room. That's also the improvements to it, the amenities that are in the room, the artistic arrangements of the garnish of the plate in a restaurant. The service is the enhancements such as employing an unusually well trained staff or a particularly accommodating central reservation office. The location, it's got to have some extra features to it, such as downtown business center location or a location with a social prestige of having the right address. Your ambiance, whether it's romantic, luxurious, contemporary, your image, which is supported by advertising and promotion that you do. And then, of course, the price that you charge for it all, right? All that equation right there is going to equal the value. In multi-unit organizations, there are usually well thought out company policies that support specific pricing objectives. In businesses that are smaller and operated more informally, pricing objectives may not be explicitly stated or even consciously thought out. However, a closer examination will reveal that unstated goals usually lie behind all pricing decisions. The sales-oriented objective is to protect your market share, right? A less dramatic but more common pricing practice is to meet the price of competitors. In fact, this is a pattern found not only in hospitality, but also in many other service industries. A sales oriented objective can also be a profit oriented objective. The Taco Bell value pricing initiative increased volume and contributed to the rise in profit by more than 75% from 1987 to 1990. The significant increase in profit was also a result of restructuring through reducing middle management in the company. There are three classic determinants of price: demand, supply, and competition. Demand is a function of people, or the kind of people who make up a population. Price sensitivity, that's where the demand for some products is more sensitive to price than demand for others. Let's give a business center district, for example. The weekend room demand is price elastic. Weekday demand for rooms in a business center, however, is relatively insensitive to price or price inelastic, at least in the short run. The relevant range is the range of prices within which people will accept changes. When the price moves outside of that range, chances are that the product will be perceived as either overpriced or underpriced. Supply of goods, labors, and capital needed to operate a hospitality establishment it is possible to estimate, at least in the short term, the supply of goods and the food costs with reasonable accuracy. However, goods constitute an essential part of a hospitality operation. And as with any goods, scarcity relative to demand will increase those prices. Labor, as we know, hospitality is a very labor intensive market. And it's just another basic component of your hospitality operations and one of your largest expenditures. The third element of supply is capital. Now, lodging is particularly intensive, and therefore hotel construction is sensitive to things such as interest rates, availability of capital. Food service is less sensitive to interest rates, but still requires significant investment in the facilities and equipment. Both lodging and food service go in and out of favor with the banks and have low interest rates at one point or another. When they're out of favor, expansion is more difficult and expensive. Finally, competition. In virtually all areas of the hospitality industry, competition is intense, which means that it takes a strong competitive advantage to gain any price premium over your competition. Competitive advantage can be achieved by innovation. However, most successful innovations are quickly copied by their competitors. Cost-based pricing is the most common practice among service industry firms, including food service. Before calculating the selling price, operators have to establish the desired food cost percentage. Based on that food cost percentage, a multiplier is determined by taking the reciprocal of the percentage, 1 divided by the desired food cost percentage. Then the total cost of ingredients is calculated. Finally, the ingredient cost is multiplied by the multiplier to establish the tentative selling price. For example, the total ingredients for a chicken sandwich with fries is $2. Desired food cost is 30%. The multiplier, therefore, is 3.33, 1 divided by 30%. As a result of the tentative selling price is $6.66. The tentative selling price is just the starting point, which should be adjusted up or down to stay competitive in the marketplace. If a restaurant cannot produce a product at a competitive price that maintains the desirable food cost percentage, it may want to remove the product from the menu. If the product is a popular menu item that cannot be removed without negative impact on the business, menu placement and other merchandising techniques may be used to move as many customer choices to other products as possible. As we can see here, another example, desired food cost is 40%. The shrimp dinner food cost is $6. So the multiplier is 1 divided by 40% gives you 2.5. The tentative selling price would be calculated by taking $6 times 2.5 to get a selling price of $15. Contribution margin refers to the amount left after a menu item's food cost is subtracted from its selling price. The contribution margin contributes to pay for the non-food cost and desired profit. The tentative selling price can be determined by using the following two equations. The average contribution margin per guest, which is non-food cost plus desired profit divided by number of guests expected, or the tentative selling price, where you take your average contribution margin per guest plus the food cost. For example, 10,000 guests per month, non-food cost of $30,000, desired profit of $5,000, shrimp dinner food cost of $6. Right? If you plug those in, you're going to end up getting 30 plus 5 is 35,000 divided by 10,000 is $3.50 per tentative selling price of $3.50 plus $6. The food cost gives you $9.50. Contribution margin pricing focuses on the dollar contribution level rather than the food cost percentage. As you can see here in this table, it shows the rationale of using the contribution margin pricing method. The pasta has a lower food cost and lower menu price, and the steak has a higher food cost and higher price. It is clear from the contribution margin that we would much rather sell steaks with the bad food cost percentage than the spaghetti in spite of the good food cost percentage, because the pasta does not generate as much dollar contributions. There is much more truth to the popular industry saying you cannot bank percentages, only dollars. In some situations in which a product has unique advantages, what the market will bear determines the price. Well-located resorts can often follow practice of demand-based pricing during the high season. For example, there are only so many room nights available in January in five-star resorts in Arizona, and many people want to go to Arizona during that time. Therefore, the prices during the high season are usually based on the most that the market will bear. When a product is undifferentiated, however, as with hamburgers and economy rooms, competitive price levels are probably good indicators of what the market will tolerate. When a new hotel comes into a market that is not overbuilt, it can set a price based on the maximum amount that customers are willing to pay and limit discounting practices. This is sometimes called skimming. That is, skimming the cream from the market while the property is new. An opposite tactic with the new product is penetration pricing. When competition is expected to develop quickly, as it generally does in food service, an attractive price may be offered to quickly capture as large of a market share as possible. The seller's hope here is that it can hold on to the customers when competition develops. Break-even analysis, or cost volume profit analysis, is a tool that is used to examine the relationships between cost, revenues, and sales volumes. This allows managers to determine the revenue required at any desired profit level. The first level that they're going to consider is the break-even point. Now, this is the level of sales volume that you need to achieve in which total revenues will equal total costs. Therefore, breaking even. Finding the break-even point for a hotel is simpler than for a restaurant because a restaurant has so many different items that it's offered on its menu. Because of all these items on the menu that must be considered, any break-even formula must be based on an assumed sales mix, as well as the cost and contribution margin of individual items. So far, you have set a tentative selling price, which was calculated based on the cost or contribution margin. Adjustments are made to reflect the operator's best judgment as to the price customers are willing to pay. In the final analysis, it is the entire menu that is being priced. Some items to meet with competition may be below the target cost percentage, whereas others will make up for that with lower food costs. Finally, we need to set the final price. With price points, there's two things to really consider here. The first digit is more significant to consumers than other digits. For example, consumers perceive a greater distance between 69 cents and 71 cents than between 69 cents and 67 cents. As a result, operators are more reluctant to move a price from 69 cents to 71 cents than they are from 62 cents to 67 cents. Consumers are also sensitive about the length of the price or the number of digits in the price. Therefore, the distance between $9.95 and $10.25 is perceived as much greater than the distance between $9.65 and $9.95. The price range, most operators have an idea of the range of prices they consider as fitting their target market. So if an item such as shrimp, the price of it escalates too much, a restaurant may take that item off the menu so they don't seem to be perceived as being more expensive overall to their consumers. From time to time, it becomes necessary to increase prices because of rising food costs and labor costs. The usual practice in the field is to avoid large increments or too frequent adjustments. Most restaurant chains will try to hold the frequency of price changes to once a quarter or less. Many operators change their entire menus periodically, adding items that fit in the appropriate price range and deleting items that have become too expensive. Red Lobster, for example, featured chicken and beef items on its menu in reaction to high seafood costs. It also added shrimp fajitas to the menu, probably because, in combination with the tortillas and other ingredients, the fajitas have a lowered food cost than a shrimp platter. As we talked about earlier, the lodging industry is a much more capital intensive business. For many years, the rule of thumb in estimating hotel prices has been that the room rate equals $1 for every $1,000 invested in building costs. Like most rules of thumb, this one is more suggestive than precise. The Hubert formula, developed in the 1950s by a committee of American Hotel and Motel Association people, which was chaired by Roy Hubert, uses a cost-based pricing system, which bases room rates on operating and capital costs to be covered and desired profits to be generated. The revenue to cover all expenses and provide a fair return is divided by the estimated number of room nights sold per year to obtain the average room rate. When the demand for rooms in a community begins to expand, new hotels are likely to be built and to charge significantly higher room rates. The reason is not only that the investment cost of new construction is higher than the capital cost of existing properties, but also that many guests are willing to pay more for new facilities. As new hotels enter the market, occupancies in older properties are likely to decrease as well as a result of losing business to the new operations. However, because of the considerably higher rates charged by the new hotels, old hotels can often raise their room rates to offset the occupancy decrease. Properties in the limited service and economy segments usually only have one or two room types and charge the same basic rate for each type, with surcharges for each additional person in the room. There are sometimes exceptions to this one-size-fits-all approach for suites in larger rooms. However, luxury, upscale, and to a lesser degree mid-price properties generally have several room types that can vary in price. Very few rooms are sold at the rack rate, or the list price traditionally posted on the room rack behind the front desk. Special discount rates are generally a function of demand in a particular geographic market. However, the practice of discounting is widespread. The amount of discount and the percent of discount offered usually increase as the room rates rise. Hotels with higher rates can usually afford to provide a greater discount and still make a profit. When the room rate reaches a certain level, it also takes a greater discount percentage to make a difference in the consumer's mind. For example, when a $59 room is reduced to $49, a 17% discount, consumers are likely to take notice of the price decrease. However, when a $260 room is reduced to $217, it's a 17% discount. Few people in the target market are likely to recognize that difference, because for people who are willing to spend more than $200 on a hotel room, $44 is often not a significant amount of money. Instead of using a cost-based pricing model, yield management is a supply and demand driven approach. Yield management has been designed to sell as many rooms as possible while generating the maximum rate possible at any given level of demand. Therefore, yield management is also referred to as revenue management. Some of the basic tactics of yield management during high demand times is to require a minimum length of stay, to limit or eliminate local promotions, restrict low profit rate categories, to sell to groups that block meeting space and use the food and beverage service as well, and to move price sensitive groups to low demand days. When demand is low, reservation agents are given maximum discretion with the rates. Operators should also go after new markets, especially price sensitive markets, such as government and educational groups, as well as leisure travelers. The offering of special weekend rates by many business oriented hotels is an example of various efforts to fill rooms on very low demand weekend days. The focus is on maximizing the revenue every day. A few critical things when considering yield management is being able to effectively forecast long-term demand with a high degree of accuracy. There's a reason why convention planners, tour operators, and similar rate-sensitive groups usually book their rooms far in advance. It is not uncommon for convention planners to negotiate rates and block of rooms 2 or 3 years prior to the convention dates. Business travelers, on the other hand, and other rate insensitive guests usually plan their travel only a few days before departure. Using a database to help you analyze your historical data can help you increase the accuracy of your forecasting ability. It is important to ensure that all of your staff, especially your front office staff, your reservation agents, and sales staff, are thoroughly trained in yield management techniques, especially under the different conditions of supply and demand. Employees must be competent in dealing with complicated yield management issues, and they must also be tactful when interacting with guests. A hotel staff performance evaluation and compensation should also support the yield management concepts. For example, performance should be evaluated on the basis of a staff member's contribution to the yield or revenue of the hotel, not just on the number of rooms sold or the average rate of the rooms sold. A sales manager who can sell rooms at a good rate during the low season is more valuable to the hotel than one who brings in groups only during high demand periods. Selling a package of goods and services instead of individual items can be advantageous to both lodging and food service operators. Packages can be designed with specific target markets in mind, and therefore can help you appeal to a very particular target market. Properly designed packages can also enhance a customer's satisfaction by serving their special needs. Packages may include some products or services such as a wine seminar and a back of the house tour that are not normally available. A special offer may stimulate more frequent repeat visits and increase per capita spending. Extend the guest length of stay. All of that leads to increased revenue. Hotels and resorts often offer packages during the off-season to help increase the demand. Food service operations often provide packages during slow days of the week, Tuesday night is family night, or slow time of the day, early bird specials, when the purchase of the package must be reserved in advance. Operations can enjoy easier forecasting and improved efficiency in staffing in operations. Unique packages may also gain favorable publicity from the local media. Many consumers like to purchase packages for greater convenience and economy. Thank you for watching today's lecture. If you have any questions or concerns, please contact Dr. Matt Mosley or leave us a message on YouTube if you have any concerns about this video. Thank you.